Well, the clinic was started in 1941 with Dr. Lipson and his son-in-law, Dr. Neal, and Dr. Jack Brady. But Dr. Brady and Dr. Neal went into the military shortly after they joined because it was World War II. And Neal and Brady came back after World War II. The clinic began to grow and grow, and then they moved to where the hospital is located, I think around 1950. But the hospital wasn't there then. The hospital was next door in a small hospital.
At that point in time, there was the old, you might say the original Visalia Medical Clinic, which was on Floral Street. And at that time was right across the street from the Visalia Municipal Hospital. I will kind of go on to say, when you actually look at the foundation of the Kauai Delta District Hospital, I believe that the Department of Surgery, the operating rooms, are in the same space as the original Visalia Medical Clinic.
In 1957, they moved out to Meadow Lane. I think there were about 8 or 9 physicians, and they grew, I think, slowly to about 18 physicians.
And they got busier, so they decided to go to a bigger place and so on. So they went to Meadow Lane, 1821 Meadow Lane. And that's where I went to work. I worked for Dr. Robacker, Dr. Phillips, Dr. Escobar, and Dr. Gardner, 4 doctors at one time. And it was fantastic. The doctors came right out there where I was sitting, and I learned so much because of their close proximity and so forth.
And I joined when that was across from COS, and they gave me a pretty small office. And then I ordered a soundproof booth, and that was bigger than my office. So we got along pretty good, but I could see that the future was there. And Visalia was growing, and we were growing. I think it was about a year or 2 after I got there, we thought about moving, getting a bigger building.
They began to realize that the Meadow Lane was just impacted, and I do remember meeting with Dr. Aiken at Meadow Lane, and he was towards the end of it, of the building, and it was an area they called the doghouse. And I guess it was a crammed up little office, and he only had, a small amount of space to see patients. And I kind of remember that, thinking, man, that's kind of small, and yet they began to realize that they needed to expand. They needed to build the now present Visalia Medical Clinic out here in Hillsdale.
In 1971, we purchased this property here. So that was 3 years after.
We'd been looking for a year.
Yeah, we've been looking.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was Bob Montgomery and myself were given the task of finding a place.
I was with you too.
And people said, it's too far out.
Right.
Yeah, we might going to have to drive 5 minutes to get to the hospital.
When they moved out here in the 70s, this was a walnut orchard, and there was nothing else out here. And everybody said, "Psh, we're never going to move out there." I mean, the city will never move that far, west. And now, I mean, we're right in the middle of quite a bit of medical, housing, and everything else. And so it was a smart move on their part to move out here. Land was cheaper, and they built, I think it was 40,000 square feet when they built it out here, and now we're almost 100,000 square feet currently today.
I was on the building committee, and I managed, as Ray Schlick was the architect here, and I managed to talk him into making a little patio outside my office, and we had picnics there. I really had a nice position for a few years.
You could tell who the guys were on the committee. They all had windows with panoramic views outside, and the rest of us were lucky if we got a little porthole to let a stray beam of light in. But it was fun. Them as has gets
fun moving, new building and everything. It was really exciting.
So what about move-in day? What do you remember about the big move? Any specific memories? Did things go well?
Yeah, things went well. It's well planned.
No. No.
Oh, what do you mean no? Yes, it happened.
The carpets in the the main part of the building went missing, and we moved in on concrete floors with big jagged cracks across them. And everything was just smooth as could be.
Well, the delivery truck for the carpets just went right by Visalia, took it down, and he took all the carpets down to a hotel in San Diego. Yeah, I don't know.
They were stolen somehow.
Yeah.
And
we had trouble. We finally put a detective to find out where they went, or
I don't know.
I don't know. We finally got carpets. The one comment I want to go back to is when we moved out here, a lot of people thought we were way out in the woods, and no one would find us. Well, Chuck Steele, who was the surgeon here for many years, said it'll take them about 2 weeks to find us, and be thankful that we have that 2 weeks of rest before they find us. When I came, the chart for an office visit was $5. That was
$7 when I came.
So in 1968, they came to $7, and then we moved out here. The increase was to $10, and many of us thought that was really crazy. That was too high a price to charge. But that's what we charged out here at $10 when we first came in 1974. I don't know what it is now. $75 or $100 for an office visit.
Then we moved out here, and Dr. Phillips insisted that I stay with him, and I loved him. I loved him so much, but he could have ran his own office completely. There was enough for me to do with the other doctors not there. So I went back to the front desk, and it was a front desk and medical records at the same time. They were all together. But I separated that and made two different departments. And in the back of the where the front desk is now, that's where the charts were. And they also had like a coat closet in the back. And that was our office. But pretty soon, you know what happened. They opened up the basement for us. And oh, that was wonderful.
The biggest change I remember is when they brought in those damn computers, and that was the beginning of a sea change. And fortunately, I floated out the door about that time.
We did go out and do some things technology-wise. There was no doubt about it. We started doing things like we barcoded all of our charts so we knew where the charts were. One of the biggest problems we had in the 90s was knowing where a chart was. A patient chart would see a general surgeon, and the next day a family medicine or a OBGYN needed to see that chart. We didn't know where it was. And so we put barcodes, and every morning we'd go around the clinic and we would snap it, and then we'd find out, and it would go onto the computer so we knew where that chart was.
When I first got here, IT, well, it wasn't even IT, they called it data processing. What data processing was data entry. It was just those girls, and then I got hired, and because I knew a little bit about site care, and they were implementing the MPI, which was the chart tracking software. I had worked with the developer to implement that in Sunnyvale, so I had site care experience, I had MPI experience, so that was really the reason I got the position here. Then I brought Mike on because it was more than one person could manage, and Mike foolishly came to me and said he wanted to get into computers, and I said, "You're hired." So Mike moonlighted until we were able to bring somebody else into the print shop. So he was working both the print shop and working with the computers.
You know, we were so green. I barely knew what an IP address. It was just starting from.
It was on the job training.
Yeah.
It was on the job training.
I had learned a little bit about PC repair on my desktop machine there in the print shop. So, I thought I was on the right track, but man, yeah, there was a lot to learn.
There was a story. It was a Saturday that Mike and I both came in to set up, because we had 140 PCs that we had to do, and we weren't getting it done over the business hours because we had other things we were responsible for. But we came in on a Saturday, and we had the whole print shop counter was full of CPUs, and we were just going down the line. And Mike, on his PC that he had in the print shop, we were listening to some loud rock and roll. And Wayne came in. I remember Wayne came in and was, is everything okay in here?
Along the technology line, when I first came, the blood counts were done just by hand, and so they added I think they call it a Coulter counter, which is an automated one. And I think where a lot of the advances have been has been in the lab, and then also in X-ray. When we first came, it was just taking the regular X-rays. Now they have the CT and the MRIs and
All digital, no film.
yeah, and they used to develop them and have to look at them.
And then they'd recycle the silver off the depth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The advantage of collecting the electrolytic silver was not just because you wanted to keep your drains clean, but silver is valuable. And so what we would do is we would harvest it onto a cathode and we would scrape that off and we would sell that silver to be purified. And then in turn, we got money for that, and many times we actually got bricks of silver. And for a number of years, there's a small safe upstairs in administration. It's a little floor safe, and there were bricks of silver that were in that floor safe for a long, long time.
The fun part about the Visalia Medical Clinic is that we've had the economic wherewithal to really provide state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, and I'm really talking about radiology, with the CT scanner, the MRI, the ultrasound, all of these systems being upgraded really to a competitive level with any of the major universities. At one time, we received our Philips MRI scanner a couple months before UCLA got theirs. But it's always been fun to have state-of-the-art, and I think that that's been a huge drawing factor for very talented physicians over the years to come to the clinic, knowing that we try and provide the best resources for them to do the job that they desire.
We had some of the older physicians that didn't want the technology. I mean, did not want it, would not use it. In fact, one physician that was here for years and years and years, actually they had a computer set on his desk, either his desk or his nurse's desk, I can't remember which.
I don't think it was his desk, but there was a story told that he came along with a pair of scissors, cut the cable, and took the terminal down and put it on the CEO's desk.
It was a PC, so it was pretty good size, and brought it down and set it on the administrator's desk.
I didn't see that personally.
No, I heard the story, and I heard which physician it was. I'd rather not say who it was.
Did you toss that out the window, or that's what I heard?
No, they decreed that we were all going to put our appointment books on the computer, the administrators, and I chose not to do that. So when I was out of town at a meeting, and one time I came back and the computer had been plopped down at my receptionist's desk, and she was informed in my absence that that was the way it was now. So when I came back, I saw it, and everybody had their eyes dilated, waiting for the explosion. And I thought, well, I don't want to make a fool of myself, but I want to make sure that the tail isn't wagging the dog in this instance. So I had dinner with Dr. Reed, Jim Reed, who is a dermatologist here and a good friend. And we weren't in our cups, but we came down to the clinic after hours. We cut the wires to the computer where they came out of the ceiling, and I took it down and set it on the administrator's desk with a note that this was misplaced in internal medicine, and signed it number 17, because I was doctor number 17 at the clinic.
Lynn still doesn't have a cell phone, so we can excuse him.
I have one, but I'm not carrying it, so.
That's a great story.
It is a great story. That's what we're looking for.
That physician became a technology geek
Yeah, he
at
did.
the end. He would come and visit us, and I'm going out in my RV and need to make sure I'm connected. And help me set up my laptop, and I want to be able to get email from home. And he became a nerd, an IT nerd.
It's like a family here. When I first came to work, I loved it. The doctors and the CEOs and so on, they really care. I feel like they really, really care about us. I truly mean this. I could not have asked for a better place. I raised 2 children by myself and so forth. And the clinic was so understanding for all my needs. It felt so good, all the patients coming in that were being helped. That was a big thing too. But personally, it was the way we were treated. We were treated wonderful.
We have a lot of people that have been here over 10 years, and 20, 30 is not uncommon. And I think it's because not only the family type atmosphere, but the physicians have always treated the employees very well. And we hired right. You hire people that we felt like could make a difference in somebody's life. And so we hired the right people.
You want to do your best for this clinic because of the history of the clinic first. I mean, you know, since 1941, that's a long time for a business to be still around. And you want to be part of that, and you want to see it thrive, and you want to see it grow. And there's been a lot of kids who've come through here who are still patients as adults and bringing their kids through here. My kids were born here, and now my grandson was born here. So it's a family. It really feels like family here.
We have employees that have worked 20, 30, 40 years here, and I think that it's the environment that really sets the stage as a enjoyable place to come to work every day. And I think that it's the people around who are so dedicated, they're so loyal. So I'd really want to take my hat off to all those before me, and all of the employees and the administrators and the staff, and certainly the physicians who have dedicated their time and their services over the years to the Visalia Medical Clinic.
But the first month we were out here, they got an electric bill because they had the lights on. And the old office was sort of a dark, dingy, dreary place. We got out here, and we'd been here a month or 6 weeks, and they got the first electric bill, and it was X amount of dollars, and there was huge consternation. And I went to lunch one day, and I came back, and every other light in the building had been turned off. And they had decided to economize because of the electric bill. And I went ballistic, and I said, I went down to Mark Karstad, and I said, it's 11 o'clock, I'm going to lunch. At 1 o'clock, if the lights aren't on, I have quit. You go see my patients. And I was going to quit. I mean, that was the only time in my career that I ever said I wasn't going to stay here forever.
I don't remember the lights being a problem because I had a big window there and the sun came in.
Yeah, you were on the committee. I wasn't.